Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Tige Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. We are here to help leaders navigate a road that can often feel very lonely. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Realities. Thank you. Hello. Welcome to the very first episode of Leadership Realities with your host, Tige Charity. I am super excited to be launching this new platform to really talk to C-suite executives about just some of the realities you face as a leader. I started Kids in the Spotlight about 15 years ago, and it was a really lonely space operating as a leader, trying to figure certain things out. But this podcast is to really help us address just some of those realities and encourage and empower others and inspire other current leaders and prospective leaders to really just walk in authority in this lane of C-suite executives. This podcast is produced by none other than the one and only multi-talented Miss Kimberly Sparks. Today I'm super excited because my very first guest is Raleigh Barmer, the COO of Kids in the Spotlight. And let me tell you, as the CEO of Kids in the Spotlight, I could not have asked for a better right-hand partner to just kind of walk this journey with me. Raleigh started with Kids in the Spotlight as a volunteer actor many years ago when we first started, and now here he is in the C-suite spot. And it's because of Raleigh that we're even carrying the title of CEO, because I started as executive director. But when he came on board, he insisted, I'm COO. I'm like, okay, if you COO, I'm CEO. So here we are today. Raleigh, welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
This is so much fun. I'm so happy that you said yes.
Yeah.
First of all, it starts with a yes.
Of course.
So let's dive right in. Mm-hmm. I just want to really kind of talk to you first about the background. Sure. When did you first start in leadership? What was your first leadership role?
I mean, it's funny. Sometimes things just kind of come together. Mm-hmm. I think leadership for me has been one of those things. As far back as I can think, in terms of being in a leadership role, I was probably in second grade.
Yes.
We had a project where we were building things over the summer. In a summer school kind of extracurricular program, and we were hitting nails, and nobody else could get the nails in. Not the teacher, not any of the other students, but I was able to get the nails in straight. So the teacher came to me and said, "Well, if you can do it, you just go ahead and do it for everybody." So I started hitting the nails in, and she said, "Well, since you can do that, can you teach the other students how to hit nails in straight?" I said, "Sure, I can teach them how to hold it and hit the hammer and all of that stuff." And then I began to lead the individual groups in the building of whatever we were building at the time, I'm not sure. And I just remember my mother saying, because I wanted to shy away from that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I just remember my mother saying, you were just created for this thing, walk in it. It's okay. Just let it be what it is. Because we always, in society, we tend to devalue different positions. And the leader is always the one that's glorified and gets the attention and all of those things. And my mother really hit it home for me that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, and I didn't need to carry myself in leadership that way. Wow. Value everyone, but hold your position. Wow. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And having had the opportunity to meet your mother and get to know your mother, I know she is so pleased because those words are reigning true today. Because that's how we do it, Kids in the Spotlight. Let Raleigh do it. That's right. But did you ever see yourself in the C-suite? Like growing up, did you ever see or know that one day I'll be the COO or CEO of a company, of an organization? I mean, did you kind of figure that out at some point?
Honestly, yes.
Okay.
So I'm not going to be as modest as a lot of people would be.
Okay, talk to me. Tell me about it.
But I never saw myself as CEO of anyone else or COO of anyone else's company.
Okay.
I always saw myself as a CEO of my own.
Wow.
Which started early. So I've had everything from, goodness gracious, website design, development, management companies, and, you know, of course, you start off with things like cutting grass and stuff like that, just being entrepreneurial. And then it slowly grew into consultancies and things like that. But I never saw myself as being the COO, not only of someone else's company, but it's the company of someone else that I knew. I always thought if that was going to happen, it would be something that I had to fight for and all of those things and play that the corporate game that I really just didn't want to play.
Yeah. So
I always saw myself as, you know, CEO of my own company, but with this opportunity is, you know, it's a God thing.
Yeah.
So.
And it feels like your own company.
Right. Hello. It does.
I love it. Well, I like that a lot. So can you tell us, let's just jump into like lessons learned, because, you know, you've been in leadership from an early age in terms of, even though it wasn't a paid position, but you've known that you have these leadership qualities. So like, what are some of the lessons that you have learned along the way, especially in the C-suite position?
I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned over the years is that leadership in general takes a very precise, light hand. Yeah,
you know, it would be me who have a phone that's ringing during the middle of a podcast. You know, that's like my history, right? So being in the C-suite position as COO, what lessons have you learned along the way?
I think the largest lesson that I've learned is that it's very complex. So it takes a very soft, intentional hand in everything that you do. Because when you're in a leadership role, everything you do, every word you say, every action you take has a ripple effect. Yeah. And you don't notice it as much when you're an employee or when you have when you're a supervisor of like one employee. But when you get to the point where you're managing 10, 15, 20 people, everything you say carries a different weight than it would if you were low on the food chain. Plus, your decisions can be either very beneficial or detrimental for the company as a whole, which includes those people, and being people-focused is something that I'm very pointed about.
No, that's so true. Does it feel like a lonely position, though? Because you have to carry a lot, and sometimes, you know, you can't necessarily talk to your team.
Exactly.
And sometimes, you know, when you got a CEO like me who's all over the place, you're like, do I really want to talk to her about this? And do I not? Let me see. What's in my best interest right now? Like, does it feel like a lonely place sometimes?
Oh, constantly. Yeah. Because you one, especially in a COO position or any middle management position, really, where you're not either at the top or just an employee that doesn't have many responsibilities outside of their day-to-day tasks. You have to play to both sides to some extent. Yeah. So you have to get things done, but you have to be mindful of your employees. You have to be mindful of your employees, but you still have to get things done. It's like this constant back and forth. And one of the things that I think is most important when it starts to feel lonely is making sure that you have someone to talk to in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone at work. They don't even necessarily have to understand your industry. It helps because then you can, you know, they know the lingo. You don't have to explain so much. But really having someone to talk to, having someone that will just listen at the end of the day, even if they don't necessarily understand, is huge.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I don't think I ever started counseling until I became a CEO. And I was like, therapy, please?
Right, hello.
Can I get a therapist? So in terms of, you know, managing, say, a high-performing team, what strategies would you recommend for other C-suite executives or young people in mid-level management who are aspiring to be, you know, a C-suite executive?
You'll hear this a lot, or they'll hear this a lot from a lot of different people. Delegation is huge. And it's very, very difficult to do.
Yes, it is.
Especially when you're either worker bee or you know how to do the things that your employees are doing, and you either want to help or you want to get things done fast or whatever the case may be. But really delegating is important because a lot of people can either misrepresent to themselves or forget just how much weight their office carries. When you're in the day-to-day, and I get caught up in the day-to-day from time to time, we all do it.
Right.
But when you're in the day-to-day, you lose sight of long-term vision. You lose sight of your ability to assess where you are organizationally, company-wide, where your staff is, because things like morale in your staff is your responsibility. Whoever is under you, their ability to work effectively, their ability to work efficiently, that's all your responsibility, especially for someone like me that's in an operations position. Yeah. The efficiency of the organization is paramount. And you can't have an efficient organization if there's someone upset that's bringing down morale, if there's someone disgruntled that's bringing down morale, if there are things that need to be done by someone that's having difficulties in their personal lives that are valid difficulties, but you're not adjusting for those things. So good. Making sure that you're not so much in the day-to-day, or I'm not so much in the day-to-day, that I lose sight of all of these other things that I have to manage, because if I don't manage those things, things go awry.
Oh, that's so complex. I mean, we could really, literally dive into that because, you know, people have challenges. People have, and how do you determine what challenge, you know, you make concession for one employee, but not another employee? Like, those are the complexities of really managing a team, and then being completely fair with everyone on your team, not, you know, allowing so much flexibility for one, but not giving the same grace and flexibility to someone else. Like, how do you just remain neutral throughout that entire, you know, engagement with your staff?
I think it's difficult, but it starts with the culture you set. Okay. When you have an idea of the type of workplace you want, you find people to fit into that type of workplace.
So hiring is very important.
Yeah, you know, and taking your time to hire.
Hire slow.
It's very important.
Hire slow.
But once you identify, and this is a lesson I've learned over the years, some more recently, but once you find that there are things that individuals are doing that don't quite fit into your company culture, it's one of two things. You either survey to see whether that's something that should be acceptable, may not necessarily be an issue with the rest of the staff, may not hamper productivity, or whether it's something you really need to address, stamp out, and just deal with immediately in that moment, which is tough, especially because, you know, you go into relationships with individuals, whether you want to or not. But at the end of the day, especially for me, my thought process, which will be different for some of those that are in the for-profit realm, but my thought process is every inefficiency, every wasted dollar, every wasted moment is a missed opportunity for youth.
I'm a drink to that.
I can't serve.
You know you speaking my language right now.
Or a youth that we could have spent that time serving versus going through back and forth or having issues between other employees or myself and employees.
Yeah, being a youth-led organization definitely comes with some different set of challenges, especially when you're, you know, speaking from our perspective in Kids in the Spotlight, we really are mission-focused and impact-driven.
Oh, 100%.
So much so, y'all know I started calling myself an impact junkie. Okay? I wake up.
Nothing wrong with being an impact junkie.
Right?
But I did want to add to the delegation. The other biggest thing that I've noticed, especially when we're talking about your mid-level managers, your directors, and things like that, project management skills. Project management skills are paramount. Yeah. Because in a director position, you're less focused on what the individual can do with the job that needs to be done, and more what they can do with managing the department, managing the individuals, and making sure that everything is done on time, all the tasks are included, and nothing is missed in the process.
Do you recommend or have any recommendations for project management platforms or tools
Oh, absolutely.
that you could share?
Yeah, I love Monday.com. That's what we use.
Yeah.
At Kids, I love Monday.com. I've heard of a couple of others. Microsoft Project was big. I think it's less functional than it used to be, especially because it was just the thing that people used in the project management space. Okay. But a lot of companies have come out with more user-friendly project management platforms, so you don't necessarily need to have a project management certification to use them, but they can still be beneficial.
Thank you. There it is. Monday.com.
Monday.com.
All right. You heard it. Monday.com. All right. I know we're limited on time. So I just want to ask you two more questions. Sure. Do you follow industry trends when it comes to leadership? Like, are you reading any leadership magazines? Are you following any particular leaders?
So, yeah, I would say yes and no.
Okay.
So over the years, I've developed my own way. And I think when you get to a point where things aren't broken, so it shouldn't be.
Yes, don't fix what ain't broken.
In that area, I try not to lean so much into people that are popular or individuals that may have very successful companies doing it their way. But I've worked for a lot of companies that were successful that just didn't do things the way that I think they should be done. Yeah. And to that end, some of those things crush those things we just talked about, like morale and employees' ability to work together, and which stems productivity. It's the foundation of being able to move forward as an effective company overall. So leaders, not so much. Some of the trends like DEI, trauma-informed workplaces. We initially went down that path because of the youth that we serve, but I really think after taking some of the more recent trauma-informed trainings that I've taken, we need trauma-informed training as a society.
Right. That's let me drink. Hold on.
Everyone needs to have at least an understanding of what that means and what it can do to individuals in the space and how it can hamper or, done properly, encourage growth in our interactions.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with that one. It really is true. And our trauma-informed classes, we've actually done a few with one gentleman. What was his name?
Oh, goodness. You put me on the spot.
I can't think of his name either. He was really good though.
I can't remember. He was really good. K-Ron,
that's it. And then recently we've been going through Shen's class.
Yeah, Shenandoah Chefalo.
Oh my goodness. And she has lived experience, which also helps in terms of, the lane that we navigate in working with kids in foster care, but being able to train our staff and really collaborating and working together so that we can be that unified team out doing the work and knowing how to serve our youth and understanding what triggers are and what, trauma that they're dealing with so that we can be better in how we show up for them.
Yeah, and shameless plug. Chefalo Consulting, Shenandoah Chefalo.
Yes.
Has the best trauma-informed training that I've ever attended. It has revolutionized the way that I approach interactions with individuals. And we're talking about employees. The relationships are better and all of those things. But even as close to home as my wife, it's really helped everything from communication to understanding and empathy. It's revolutionized the way that I live.
It's one of a kind. Our community check-in.
Right, exactly.
Our weekly meetings.
Exactly. There you go. Yep.
One of the hardest things for me when I did Shen's class, and then we're going to bring it to a close, was the conversation around feelings, not asking people how you're doing, but asking people how do you feel. And I was like, but Shen, like feelings, emotions are just like can be all over the place. And when you ask people how they're feeling, if you're a person like me who always want to fix things, if you tell me how you're feeling and it's something that I'm like, well, how can I fix it? How can I make you feel better? She's like, that's not your job. Right. And I'm like, but I'm a fix it kind of girl. Like, I want you to feel good. I want you to, but she does have one of the best training classes that I've attended. So Shen, we're going to be sending people your way. So Raleigh, I have just 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
I'm the type of person I'll say, I got one more question. And then I'll think of another question. Wait, I got one more question. But I promise these will be the last 2. But I'm not going to promise. But
okay.
Let's try to make these the last 2. Who's your favorite leader and what type of leader are you?
Who's my favorite leader?
And you don't have to say the CEO of Kids in the
What?
Spotlight. It's okay. No, I feel it. But no,
For the sake of the platform, I won't say the CEO of Kids in the Spotlight. But one thing that I'm pointing about leaders, just like I said before, I'm not really enthralled by popular people.
Right.
Especially because I need to know you personally.
Yeah.
I need to have experienced your leadership. I need to see the effectivity of that leadership, because a lot of things look good from the outside, like we talked about before. But when you work for that person, when you work in that environment, you see that the success doesn't necessarily come from the effectivity. The success comes more for those people that they've hired that are just that skilled and able to I guess, do well in spite of. Mm-hmm. So one of my favorite leaders is Naveen Campbell. Naveen Campbell was the director of finance when I was working for a hotel chain, one of the most recognizable luxury hotel chains in the world. Mm-hmm. And the way she led, it's not necessarily who she was, but the way she led really revolutionized my approach to leadership. That's Again, good. It was that very detail-oriented, staff-focused, but able to, again, work well in between the 2 realms, because there is a realm of understanding and comfortability when you're working with your staff. Mm-hmm. There's a realm of understanding and comfortability when you're working with your counterparts, because she had other directors of finance, she had other individuals that were on her level, that she carried herself differently amid those individuals than she did with her staff, and also carried herself differently again when she was dealing with her leadership or the board or any of the other individuals, making sure that she spoke to her audience, making sure she understood what the wants were, making sure she understood what she needed to do to be effective in all of these spaces. And she really applied it well. So that's
great.
So
being a leader requires you to wear multiple hats.
Oh, 100%.
And knowing when to wear those hats.
Exactly.
That's good.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's good.
So one of my favorite quotes from someone that I encountered, they said, if you act, and excuse the I guess the use of the word, but if you act the same way around your boss as you do around your friends, you're an idiot.
Ooh. Well, all right then. Don't get any more plain than that.
Right. So it's just not the same space.
Wow. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to do an idiot proof
check. No, you don't.
Wow. So listen. Okay. Last question was, what type of leader are you? I kind of got a sense based on the type of leader that you admire, but what type of leader would you categorize yourself as?
The type of leader. I mean, I guess it depends upon what method you're using to categorize that.
Or I would say even at Kids in the Spotlight, what type of leader do you classify yourself as in this environment?
I'm always an employee-focused leader. Okay. And one of the reasons that's important to me is because I know I can't do it by myself.
Yes, that's good.
I need people on my team. Mm-hmm. I need people that trust me enough to move forward with new initiatives, that trust me enough to move forward with new platforms, that trust me enough that when they see that I need something, when they see that I need something to just be done, they just move forward and do it and ask questions later.
That's good.
And that really comes with relationship building. When you're able to have individuals on your team that you understand to a greater extent than, I guess, the last task that they've done, you have a much better understanding of how to move forward organizationally or company-wide, because you understand how to manage those people.
That's really great. I mean, you're such a very wise young man, and I love it.
I try really, 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 really.
Trust is a whole other conversation, right? I mean, we could really start to dissect trust, because I know for me, as a founder of an organization and really building and having had some trauma within, building.
Absolutely.
That trust thing is very, it's easier said than done. And I was the type of person where I trust you until you give me a reason not to. And then I started having so many reasons not to that then it became just difficult. Like, well, shucks, who do I trust? So that's really good. I love that. Some really, really good insight and information you shared. So that is our show. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. It's an absolute honor, especially knowing that I'm the first guest on a podcast that's going to be international and on everybody's TV and computer screen and phone screen.
I'll drink to that.
And I really believe this platform is a platform that just hasn't been explored yet. It's something that where leaders actually get to speak. Because you hear from the employees all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You hear from
especially the disgruntled
the complaints. Exactly. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. When there's so much in the leadership space that there are unknown constraints.
Yes.
And there's also just bad leadership.
Yes.
So having this kind of platform to express yourself as a leader and, get some insights, whether good or bad, take things with a grain of salt, is revolutionary as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. And I know I'm holding you up from an interview that you got kids' work to do. But no, thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in to Leadership Realities. I hope that you heard something today that will help you to become a better leader, or something that you may have been doing and you're like, wait a minute, maybe I need to reassess how I've been leading. I hope you found some nuggets today that would really just propel you to be your best and to walk in your God-given authority. Thank you. Until next time. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye. Until next time.